Imagine you raise your eyes to the sky, and there are not airplanes and not clouds, but glowing spirals, cubes in the clouds, and spheres that move faster than fighter jets. The world seems to have glitched. Rivers turn scarlet, geysers explode, and the cameras of random eyewitnesses capture things that, in theory, simply cannot exist. Today on TopFacts, there's a huge compilation from our episodes on the topic of shocking heavenly anomalies, UFOs, and just phenomena that give you goosebumps. Watch until the end. We save the most interesting footage for last. Enjoy watching. The Colored River. On February 4th, 2025, in Lima, Peru, something ominous was caught on camera. The Rimac River, one of the country's most important water sources, suddenly turned frighteningly red. From above, it seemed as if someone had dyed a wide ribbon of water, and the crimson flow cut through the city center. People crowded on bridges, staring down in disbelief. Some whispered about a curse, others about a bad omen. The video spread rapidly online. The entire river looked like a blood vessel. Environmental scientist Maria Angelica Villasante tried to cool the panic. Most likely the cause was polluting discharges. More than 30 mines and hundreds of drainage pipes empty into the Rimac. The industrial mix could well have repainted the water. But here's what truly alarmed people. Even as specialists pointed to possible mining effluents, officials assured locals, the water is drinkable, it is safe. A bold statement, is it not? After an entire river turned scarlet before their eyes, not everyone believed it. Would you risk it? A forest anomaly. On August 21st, 2025, something out of the ordinary happened in China. Deep in a forest, they discovered millions of silkworms. Not only the scale was frightening, the very fact that they were in the wild. Silkworms are usually raised on farms in Southeast Asian countries, including China, and to find them free and in such numbers does not happen. A local resident filmed what was happening and sent the materials to the China Wildlife Conservation Association. They threw up their hands. An explanation for why this happened has not yet been found. And what do you think? Is it a coincidence or someone's trace? A mysterious eruption. On November 11th, 2024, the quiet town of San Jose de Mulatos in the department of Ñaco, Colombia, was shaken by a sudden eruption of a mud volcano. A geyser considered inactive suddenly came alive. Columns of liquid mud burst upward with such force that, by estimates, masses measured in thousands of tons per second were ejected. Within minutes, viscous waves spread over the surroundings, covering almost 24 acres. Families were urgently evacuated to a nearby school, and humanitarian aid was brought there as well. For residents, this was unheard of. The geyser was listed as dormant, and such a flare-up caught everyone by surprise. What triggered the chain reaction? No one understands yet. A sand waterfall. Before you is not a magical waterfall, but a sand cascade. The footage was shot in Saudi Arabia in 2021. This is not pure sand. There is water in the flow. Years of runoff carved a canyon, and when the river found its path again, it dragged along a mass of sand, creating this rare, mesmerizing sandfall. The Well of Demons. A man in a deserted desert stumbled upon a well. Sounds were heard from inside. He removed the cover, and screams were heard, so chilling that your blood runs cold. The music swells. It became even more unsettling when similar sounds were recorded by the Euphrates. The theory spread, these are the wails of demons from hell, a sign of the end times. Whatever it is, these screams are terrifying to the bone. Hair. Standing on end, tourists in the Kumtag Desert encountered a phenomenon from the "You will not believe it until you see it" series. As soon as the group climbed to the top of a dune, their hair stood on end, and a strange crackle was heard around. as if from static electricity. The cause is the electric charge in the clouds above them. But whatever science says, the picture is mystical. Do you agree? The mysterious pattern. An alien riddle that is still debated. In 1990, on the dried lake bed in the Oregon desert, geometric patterns began to appear. Everyone had goosebumps. This does not fit in the mind, eyewitnesses recalled. Conspiracy theorists insisted the work of aliens. The military, who were the first to notice the drawing, admitted they themselves were puzzled. No tire tracks, no footprints. Who and how did this? There is no answer to this day. Dangerously close. If you see this in the water, leave immediately. This is a huge school of sardines, darting near the beach. Many throw themselves onto the shore. Why is it dangerous? The fish are fleeing a predator. Sardines always stay together, and if the school comes close to swimmers, almost certainly a shark is hunting nearby. So, keep your ears pricked. The music thickens the anxiety. A photographer in a loop. A noisy street. A bus passenger notices behind a parked car a woman with a camera. She is shooting, nothing unusual, until you realize the pose does not change. Time after time, she raises the device with the same motion, presses, and again, like a stuck recording. Cars around drive by, people walk, and she stays in the same stance, repeating the moment over and over. Hey, is this a replay? You want to shout. But it was a real day, a real street. The invisible mirror. On a bus, a girl takes out lipstick and starts putting on makeup. At first, everything is ordinary until you notice the main thing. She looks into emptiness. No mirror, no reflection. And yet her movements are precise, confident, as if there's a pane of glass seen only by her. Stranger still, she repeats exactly the same gestures, as if stuck on one fragment of time. To others, it looked less like makeup and more like a neat glitch in the frame. Did it seem that way to you too? Different realities. Canada, Ottawa. Inside a cozy house, they film an unusual phenomenon. The camera looks into a mirror. There outside the window, snow is falling thickly. The lens turns to the actual window. Not a single flake. Everyone in the room is stunned. How is that possible? Someone in the comments suggested, it is the shooting angle. But then why is the reflection of the person visible exactly as it should be? And how to explain the shared astonishment of the witnesses in the room? The puzzle of the twin ring. Laura Rollings was doing a deep clean in the bathroom and found an exact copy of the ring that was already on her finger. According to her, she lives alone, has no partner. There was no one to gift a second copy. The ring she found looked dusty, as if it had lain there for a long time. The internet argues, maybe someone lost the original and then made a new one? But the author insists, that does not match the facts of her life. Then, what was it? A swap? A matrix glitch? What do you think? The strange night sky of Chicago. Nighttime. Chicago. The moon behaves unusually. It seems to float in jerks, as if the picture were stuttering frame by frame. No clouds, no planes, nothing that could break the view. The web split. Is the camera glitching? A rare optical effect? Or did someone actually capture a tear in reality itself? Gravity glitch. Unknown place. A single leaf hangs in the air. No twig, no threads, just hovering. This is something incredible. Look, a woman behind the camera says, gently takes it in her hand. Let's go. And it remains floating again, as if gravity took a day off. No visible tricks, no strings, An illusion? A sleight of hand? Or a tiny crack in the laws of the world? A frightening synchrony. During a school performance, a group of kids moved so perfectly in sync that the audience froze. Every step, every gesture, in the same split second, as if an invisible command controlled them. On replay, it looks almost unnatural, as if reality copied and pasted the same movement into several people. You would think it is a cool routine, yet goosebumps run over your skin, like a matrix glitch. A strange aerial creature over Minsk, a clear day. Something resembling a giant squid floats in the sky. A dark, softly changing form slowly drifts over the city, moving with ominous plasticity, as if a sea creature had chosen the heavens. What was it? An aerostat? Trash caught by air currents? Unclear. But the footage remains among the most unusual ever shot over the city. Split snowfall. In this clip, snow pours down in a wall, but only on one side of a bridge. On the other, silence, not a single flake. As if an invisible boundary split the weather in half. Here, winter; there, clear sky. The sharp dividing line creates an unreal effect, more like a graphics glitch than nature. Would you believe your own eyes? Mysterious footage from a farm, Iowa, 1:33 at night. A surveillance camera films a field, and suddenly, something invisible seems to collapse at the center. A circular impact arises. A wave spreads. The crop instantly lies down and in places disappears. Around it is flattened and spoiled. Yet nothing falls in the frame, and there is no object at the epicenter. The farm owner, Stuart Turner, admits, "I have never seen anything like it," hence the theories. Could this be a rare case of crop circles forming right before our eyes? A strange vortex, China. In several videos, enormous spirals of something frighteningly incomprehensible swirl over the trees. The look is straight out of an end-of-the-world movie. Everyone waited for an admission of, it's a UFO, or at least some cataclysm. But later it turned out, pollen is rising from the trees. Even specialists were surprised by the shape. Such pollen tornadoes had been almost unrecorded before. And now imagine how many more such tricks nature has that we do not suspect. The disappearing pelican, Destin, Florida. A pelican stands on the shore, seemingly an ordinary scene. But look closely. Parts of the body seem to show through, as if feathers dissolve into the air. The longer you look, the stronger the feeling of a reality glitch, like a graphic error in a game. No explanation was found. Neither a camera defect nor a known effect fit perfectly. What was it? A whim of technology or a strange trick of nature? A creepy funnel of mosquitoes. Unknown location. A tall column rotates in the sky, resembling a tornado. Only inside is not wind and debris, but a living swarm of mosquitoes. The column is so dense that in places it blocks the view, coiling like smoke. People dubbed it a mosquito tornado, a sight you will not forget. And you know what? It got even harsher in Russia. A vortex over Kamchatka, the Kamchatka Peninsula. The sky unexpectedly darkened, and not because of clouds, because of mosquitoes. Locals filmed spiral columns so dense that it seemed they obscured the sun. The vortices quickly moved along the coast, twisting into tornado-like figures. Living nearby was unbearable. You could not go outside. You would be covered by a living wall. It continued for 2 days. One of these columns was filmed at sunset, and then it dissolved. Experts linked the phenomenon to the mosquito mating season. But when you stand under a heavenly cord of millions of insects, the scientific explanation is small comfort. You feel like a hero of the apocalypse. The mysterious object over Prague. In the sky, a huge white cube slowly rotates. Mirror-like faces catch the daylight. It hangs for almost 5 minutes, stable as if glued, and then vanishes without a trace. Dozens of eyewitnesses film it from different points, struck by the scale. Skeptics say, a drone? A military development? The mystery supporters retort, no known device behaves like that. And the question remains, what was it really? Climate glitch. A man's home recording looks even more absurd. The front part, summer, sunny, warm. Walk to the backyard, and the season has been swapped. Snow is pouring down. 2 times a year in one house. The contrast is so unreal that viewers were stuck between I don't believe it and what if, as if the house stands on the border of 2 worlds. Would you check where exactly that line passes? Number 9. The cat mystery. A cat stands in the road, as if rooted. At first it seems it is lying in wait. But people pass nearby and it does not move a whisker. The gaze is straight ahead, the body like a statue. Curious onlookers try to figure out whether something is wrong, but no cause is visible. And the longer this silent pause drags on, the more troubling the footage becomes. The girl and the reality glitch. During an evening at a restaurant, a girl was laughing with her friends, and then something strange happened. Right in the middle of her laughter, she froze, mouth slightly open, gaze fixed, body as if put on pause. Her friends at first did not even notice. The conversation went on, and she seemed cut out of the frame. A few seconds later, click, and everything was as if nothing had happened. Do you feel that chill? What was that, you want to ask? The camera? A rare neuro effect? Or did reality glitch for a moment? The sky broke. A fragmentary moment about which viewers simply said, the sky broke. The cloud slab in the frame looked as if it had been carefully cut, one side with swirls and dense texture, the other almost empty, sunlight-added shadows, reinforcing the feeling that above our heads, there were not one sky, but 2 mismatched layers. An illusion? Another optical trick of nature? But admit it, when you see this live, diagrams and explanations step aside. A creepy transformation. No words. What is it? In the video, it looks like an alien crawling out of a spider's body. But this is not a monster. It is a parasite dangerous even to us. A person poisoned the spider with insecticide, and seconds later, a long, thin worm emerged from inside. This is a horsehair worm. It gets inside when a spider eats the parasite's eggs or prey that contains those eggs. The larvae hatch and feed on the host from within. Sounds like a nightmare? Perhaps, yes. And it seems we might need another can of spray. The predator deer. Are you eating a snake? The camera operator cannot believe. Before him is a scene that flips the usual picture of the world. A deer, considered herbivorous, eats a snake. Whether it hunted or found the prey is unclear, but the very fact is unnerving. How to explain it? And do we need to at all? Sometimes nature simply breaks our labels and forces us to fall silent. Mythic sky in India. Lightning tore the dark sky, and the flash revealed a pattern that reminded many of the figure of the deity Shiva in the lotus pose. Believers spoke of an apparition, skeptics of a random composition. In another clip, devotees insisted they saw the outlines of Lord Krishna in the clouds. The sudden shape resembled a familiar statue. Chance or a sign? You decide. Apocalypse Now in Los Angeles. Quite recently in Los Angeles, the sky staged a truly otherworldly show. A crimson sun flooded the city with blood-red light. The atmosphere seemed to switch a filter. Everything around turned magenta. For LA residents, This looked completely unnatural. Never have I seen anything like this, locals admitted. The video instantly spread across the web, and the episode became shrouded in apocalyptic interpretations. But to this day, there is no definite explanation. The strange, frighteningly beautiful picture remained a natural anomaly and a mystery. The unstable Yellowstone Pool. On May 31st, 2025, at Biscuit Basin near the Black Diamond Pool Thermal Spring, a hydrothermal explosion occurred. Water and debris roared upward hundreds of feet, and a tourist managed to film the moment on a phone. What made people especially nervous was that exactly a year earlier, on July 23rd, in the same place a larger explosion happened. The boardwalk was damaged and had to be reinforced. Such events occur when water trapped underground instantly flashes to steam and releases energy. This time the scale was smaller, but the mere fact of repetition at a single point made many wonder, is Biscuit Basin becoming more unstable than we thought? I had just raised my phone, started filming, and within seconds it all blew. Rocks flew into the sky, an eyewitness recalls. And now guess, how many more such surprises does the park hide under tourists' feet? The frog pandemic. In Australia, green tree frogs devised an unusual winter survival tactic. They sometimes hide in toilets, warmer there and safer from predators. "Oh my God," laughs the video's author, Kimberly. According to her, one woman was going to treat the amphibians with bleach, and Kimberly decided to save them. She relocated them where no danger threatened. In the end, the frogs left back into the wild on their own. Yes, it looks unusual and gives you goosebumps, but for them, this is a normal strategy. "In total, I saved 37, she says. Of course, they were afraid. The nightmare room. The entire bathroom is packed with lizards to the brim, and in the shot, the ceiling also collapses. Where did so many come from? In the comments, they argued, does the owner breed reptiles? Or did it simply get colder and they gathered where it is warm? But how to explain that so many little creatures chose one point, and all at once? An earthly phenomenon in southern Taiwan. The south of Taiwan woke to dull rumbles. The Vanden Mud volcano came alive again. At dawn on June 26, 2025, right in the middle of fields, near the Huangyuan Temple, fissures opened and thick boiling mud together with methane gas gushed out. It began after 5 in the morning and did not stop until late afternoon. Almost 11 hours of continuous flow. 4 vents opened at once, and the mud went along the ditches. The village head even had to call in an excavator to redirect the flow and avoid damage. And this is far from the first awakening. In just 3 years, the dome breathed 10 times. The last episode in July 2024. Locals are so used to it that sometimes they ignite methane at the outlets. The footage was shot by the temple caretaker. The yellow building is clearly visible in the background. A strange spectacle. Sea cockroaches in Ha Long Bay. On June 27, 2025, in Ha Long Bay, Vietnam, a video captured a shore that seemed to come alive. Thousands, if not millions, of literal isopods, the so-called sea cockroaches, though in fact they are terrestrial crustaceans, overran the pier and areas by the water. It appeared as if the soil itself was moving, and the territory darkened because of the density of the massing. After the storm, the operator returned. The carpet was already dispersing. The little crustaceans were going under the sand. The strangest part is that they usually cling to rocks and rarely appear so close to the port, and certainly not in such mass emergences. Where is the line between, well, the storm drove them, and a true event of nature? During an Earth flyby, NASA astronaut Nicole Aes captured a giant red sprite, a rare upward flash from a thunderstorm over Mexico and the southern United States. The shape is like a jellyfish, branching tendrils of light spread from a cap. Such phenomena are classified as TLE, transient luminous events in the upper atmosphere. Nicole, pilot of the SpaceX Crew 10 mission, participant in Expedition 72 and 73 to the ISS, took the shot on July 3, 2025, during a pass over a powerful storm system covering North America from California to Texas. Sprites come in different scales. The largest rise to an altitude of up to 50 miles, about 80 kilometers above the Earth's surface. Residents of Turkey witnessed a phenomenon that literally stunned them. At night on January 27, 2025, people observed strange bursts of white-blue light, spreading in a bizarre spiral. Then from one point, waves ran in different directions, like two fronts moving away from each other. The UFO version was almost immediately rejected, while the hypothesis about Project Bluebeam, many recognized as the most likely. Watch the clip and say what you think. It quite could have been a heavenly portal. In the sky over Moscow, a simple shape, a perfect ring, staged a real drama. Some filmed in delight, others spoke of omens. The truth is duller but more illustrative. A transformer nearby sneezed, and the smoke from the discharge rose and formed a closed ring vortex. An experiment with a burner and a smoke ring shows perfectly how it works. What ended up on the recording shocked viewers, but it surprised even more those who posted the footage. A strange incident hit a surveillance camera in Western Australia around 21:30 in 2019. During a thunderstorm, lightning flashed, and right then a huge round portal seemed to open in the night sky. It appeared immediately after the flash, and within a few seconds, moved out of the frame. Probably no one would have known about it if the police of the city of Broome had not taken the recording from a camera on the south side of their station. The publication of the video sparked an online storm, and even 7 years later, no clear explanation has appeared. Before you is a case after which you want to remind once again, electricity is not a toy. Somewhere in California, a person was setting up a metal ladder, did not secure it, and it drifted toward a power line. At the moment of shorting, a high current went through the ladder and the circuit closed through it. The result, melted metal, drips, black spots on the ground. Fortunately, the author was far away. The ladder is a pity, but it is a vivid safety lesson. A stranger with a covered face posted a video that gives viewers goosebumps. The girl chooses a spot and slowly lifts off the ground, hovering as if gravity does not exist. And that is not all. The stick in her hand also obeys and rises along with her. Skeptics speak of tricks, editing, thin wires, but she is alone. Around there are trees and a trail. If you know the trick, write in. It is a beautiful mystery. A humanoid figure, but it glows like red-hot metal. And this is during the day. Somewhere in Russia, several neighbors film a red person not far from the houses, and they cannot believe their eyes. A popular explanation for distant glow is autokinetic effect, diffraction, scattering. But all that is usually about night and points of light, and here it is the middle of the day. The figure is moving and at the same time seems to maintain a plasma silhouette. That is why the clip is so agitating. Shenyang, China. Residents see a giant column of light, as if a ship is descending from above. In reality, an optical trick. A skyscraper hides in the fog, and sunlight reflects from its windows so that it seems a vertical pillar of light has descended from the heavens. Does this look like a natural cloud? In January 2023, a saucer-shaped object hung over one of the Turkish cities. Locals watched it for about an hour, and it disappeared. Meteorologists quickly sobered up the debates. This is a lenticular cloud that appears in strong winds over hills and mountains. The mystery is removed, but the impression remains. In the middle of Pakistan's Thar Desert, footage that is hard to forget. A river of fish crawls over dry sand. The video went around the internet last year. The explanation is logical and sad. The channel of a nearby river shifted abruptly, and thousands of fish were left on land, frantically jumping in search of water. If you see this, run and call specialists. This is not a cloud and not fluff. In West Java province, Indonesia, workers from a renewable energy enterprise rushed toward an object, and they did the right thing by wearing masks. In front of them was caustic foam, household detergents and effluents mixed in the reservoirs, and the wind tore off a cap of foam and dragged it around the area. The smell is harsh. It is dangerous for people. Do not touch and do not play with it. This is not marshmallow air, but chemistry. At first, it seems that they are filming ordinary clouds, but take a closer look at this fragment. Instead of melting together with the others, a clump goes its own course, and in the opposite direction at that. The version about a camouflaged ship sounds beautiful. The rational one about different altitudes of layers and apparent speed explains a lot, but the counter movement remained a question. This clip was posted by a woman from Arizona named Daisy, and arguments immediately began. An optical trick or something more? On June 9, 2025, around 1900, she noticed a dark silhouette in the sky and tried to zoom in on her phone. The quality is so-so, but you can see as if someone is walking through the air. In places, the movements of legs peek through. The illusion of a mirage in a city is unlikely. And then, how to explain the steps? A convincing answer has not yet appeared. On the night of June 28, 2025, over Los Angeles, strange dark objects converged at one point and hovered. There were many witnesses. The videos were shot from different places. Requests flew to the FAA, and silence. We do not comment on third-party videos. Neither city services nor authorities reported anything. This only teased the public. There are lots of versions, zero confirmations. Why does grass in places turn into a trampoline? Tourists step on it. The ground under them moves in waves. There are two explanations, and both are down to earth. The first is soil liquefaction. After heavy rains, water turns a soil layer into a cushion. The second is classic for fields and golf courses. Leaks from sprinklers and irrigation pipes create pockets of water under the turf. The result, you step, and under your feet is a spring. This happened on July 4th. At Imperial Beach, California, people look at the sky and do not understand. The sun seems to flicker like a lamp. A woman on the pier explains in Spanish what she is seeing, and she does not believe it herself. And it is not the camera. You can hear exclamations around. Others also notice the pulsation. It was filmed for Independence Day 2 years ago, and a definitive explanation has still not been found. The next clip stumps not only us, but also the residents of Yanggu County in China. In 2022, a black fog was filmed above a body of water. Birds freely fly through it and around it, while it stays in place and seems to wait. It stood for a while and dissolved. What it was and whether it was anything at all, it is still unclear. In 2021, residents of Samoa and Fiji raised their heads and gasped. A glowing spiral unfurled over the islands. Viewers immediately posted the footage online, hoping to hear a reasonable explanation. an American astronomer linked the phenomenon to fuel remnants of a Chinese rocket launched during the day on June 21st. Supposedly, the exhaust froze in the upper layers of the atmosphere and stretched into a shell. Comments split. Many considered the version too convenient. Rockets often vent fuel, but such a perfect spiral is rare, so the skepticism is understandable. A few months ago, NASA published an impressive video of Earth, astronauts repairing a spacecraft against the backdrop of the blue planet. Only viewers were much more hooked by something else. In the frame, downward toward Earth, goes a huge shapeless object, white-gray, standing out sharply against the background. There are lots of versions. The most down-to-earth. It could have been a lost protective shield of the shuttle. But as usual with NASA clips, a simple explanation attracts mysteries. Some are sure it is a UFO. What do you say? Canada, British Columbia. The exact lake was not named. They say it is either Emerald or Okanagan. The water seems to break. The waves do not crash but freeze into crests and roll over like a glitched picture. It looks unreal, but the physics is honest here. This is a standing wave, or an oscillation in which the shape of the peak changes over time, but its position remains the same. The illusion is strong. No wonder it is called a glitch in the matrix. You throw a twig down, you expect it to fall. But at one waterfall in Vadodara, India, in the west of the country, everything is the opposite. A guy throws chips of wood, and they are lifted upward. Then, he hurls a whole stick. It flies past him, as if catching an invisible elevator. It is simple. A powerful updraft at the foot of the waterfall creates lift. If the object is lighter than the thrust, at first it is carried upward, and only then it falls. In Scandinavian myths, Bifrost is a blazing rainbow bridge between the world of the gods Asgard and the world of humans Midgard. And now, 2 clips of a rainbow bridge, filmed by eyewitnesses in California. The first, from July 10th, 2025. A bright rainbow streak crosses the night sky over the Parkmer area. The incredible footage was linked to the aurora, but the second clip may have shown the source of the phenomenon. Rainbow strokes clearly appeared and passed over California like a stream of light. There is no unambiguous explanation. Some speak of a light show. However, according to the FAA, directing such powerful beams into the sky is prohibited because of air traffic, and nothing higher than 5 meters is allowed without their permission. So, is this a bridge between worlds or a unique atmospheric effect? Share your versions. Bright blue and green lights suddenly flared over Canada. They moved strangely, with no system at all, and witnesses immediately began to construct versions, from a rare extraterrestrial phenomenon to something not yet described by science. Experts, however, noted, "We do not know of natural phenomena with a moving ring of colored lights in such a bizarre order." Then what was it? Share your theories. The picture was just too unusual. A mysterious clip. Deep in the forest, an ecologist noticed strange thermal spots on a device and went to check. The system did not deceive him. During the day, in an open area, he stumbled upon a glowing prismatic star. The closer he came, the hotter it got. At a distance of 9 to 10 feet, it became really hot, and the phone began to glitch. The explanation would be simple if there were something mirror reflective nearby. But around there is forest, and this version was rejected. The 24-second recording remains one of the most mysterious. The night sky over Kuala Lumpur turned into a set for a strange phenomenon. Out of nowhere, a perfect round cloud appeared. It hung motionless, as if in defiance of ordinary air currents. People filmed it on their phones, marveling at how long this object held. But the solution is simpler here. This is lenticular cloudiness, and the light is just the moon, not a UFO, as people first thought. On June 24th, 2025, around 2000, a strange glowing spiral was noticed in the sky over the United Kingdom, Ireland, and part of Europe. The figure slowly twisted and dissolved. Experts linked it with a SpaceX rocket launch that took place several hours earlier during the day in Florida. Supposedly, frozen fuel remnants in the upper atmosphere formed the spiral. But because of the time difference between the launch and the observation, many viewers online remained suspicious and did not quite believe the explanation. The recording you're about to see is shrouded in mystery, and here is why. A surveillance camera in an unknown suburb recorded on August 1st, 2019, around 1815, how a glowing sphere slowly descends toward a garage. It pulsed at equal intervals. There is no sound. It is CCTV, but if the object had been noisy, someone would have gone out to check. By that time, people are usually home. Only the date and time are known, and the clip appears only in a single compilation. The original source could not be found. That is why the case seems even more enigmatic. In the next fragment, the author claims to have filmed a UFO trying to break through the dome. The firmament, or celestial dome, is a mythical shell around the Earth. In the video, the unidentified object seems to strike an invisible surface, and bright blue plasma spreads across it. The craft tries to escape, but only skims along the surface and disappears into the night. Number 9. Relaxing by a hot tub, Colleen McCormick noticed something strange in the sky over Pembroke, Massachusetts. The 8-second clip shows a rapidly falling object. Colleen managed to film it on her phone. Some decided it was a medevac helicopter moving away into the distance, but the Federal Aviation Administration refused to comment on third-party videos. The Pembroke police had no reports of debris, nor did the fire department. It was filmed on June 25th, 2025, and to this day, there is no clear explanation. In this incredible footage, dozens of white smoky rings, as if crawling out of the clouds. They move so slowly that it seems they are standing still. An explanation appeared. Supposedly, there is a volcano erupting beneath them and exhaling rings of smoke. But no mountain is visible under the clouds, and there are too many rings. So the source of this strange spectacle remains unknown for now. TikTok user Robert King, on June 29th, 2025, films a glowing white sphere over London. It moves, not like a star, and not like an ordinary consumer drone. People are bothered by something else. After the mysterious sphere in New Jersey, similar clips began to pop up around the world more and more often. Coincidence or a new fashion of the sky? On March 4th, 2024, a strange object was noticed in the sky, and even the newsrooms could not get clarity. At 1929, eyewitness Steve Aragona was walking with his children and neighbors when he saw a white dot. Then, the object split, and a huge smoky ring remained in the sky. News 4 reached out to an aerospace professor. It looks like an ordinary rocket with a booster separation. But that is where the most suspicious part begins. On the same day, SpaceX had a launch in Florida at 1856 Eastern Time, that is, at 1756 Central Time. It turns out this would have been an hour and a half before Steve filmed the footage at 1929. At Vandenberg Base in California, they told News 4 that the timing does not match. They contacted Space Forces on both coasts, and they in turn contacted the base in Florida. There, they said, it is not theirs. So what Steve saw remains a mystery even a year later. Trenton, New Jersey, December 8th, 2024. A doorbell camera catches a strange object gliding over the southern part of the city. From afar, it looks like an airplane or a very bright drone. But when it flies closer, for a fraction of a second, an oval, rainbow-like capsule shows up in the frame, and right after, a white sphere, as if pursuing it. There are no official explanations. And this is only the prologue. It gets hotter from here. Nummer 1. In another clip, shot literally in the same area, while the red ring from the previous segment dissolves somewhere 5 blocks away, a rotating round object appears above another street. It blinks, hangs in the air, and then flashes and disappears. At first, viewers blamed a meteor, but a second angle convinced many. This does not look like a fall. Since then, the community has leaned toward the version of an alien drone, and so far, no one has argued against it convincingly. A welder knows the price of sparks and molten metal. You cannot accidentally reproduce that. But nature, it seems, can weld too. In the video, 2 rocks from which sparks fly and glowing metal drips, just like during welding. An important detail: the author is wearing protective gloves. These are not ordinary stones, but ores, rocks with a high content of metals. Most likely, they were connected to a battery or another power source. Hence this magical effect. In Rich Valley, Alberta, Canada, right before 1900 on July 2nd, 2025, during a thunderstorm, Ed Party and his wife Melinda saw a huge ball of light about 20 feet above the ground. They managed to film about 23 seconds, and the fireball vanished. Ed described the object as a slowly moving bright blue sphere with a diameter of about 2 meters. The video was reviewed by Frank Florian, Director of Planetarium and Space Sciences at TELUS World of Science in Edmonton. Sometimes plasma can linger in place. If plasma takes the shape of a sphere, this is called ball lightning. According to him, the recording is a truly rare and strange case associated with severe weather conditions. Most likely, it was ball lightning, a dangerous and extremely rare phenomenon. An unusual sight of 7 suns stunned residents of Chengdu, China. In July 2024, a woman named Ms. Wang filmed this rare moment from a hospital, and the footage instantly spread across the internet. The suns looked real, each shining with different brightness, but there was no celestial miracle. It was an optical illusion. From a different angle, they already saw 4 instead of 7, experts explained. The effect was created by sunlight passing through layered windows. Ice crystals in the air could also have played a role, producing so-called mock suns, sundogs. The phenomenon is extremely rare, which is why it is so mesmerizing. A passenger flight, a view from the porthole, along the surface of the Earth, stretches a perfect shadow, as if someone drew a global line right on land. Of course, this is not a real equator. The most sensible explanation is a shadow from an especially dense contrail, or a chemtrail, high above the ground. Sometimes dense cloud walls cast similar shadows, if the light and angle coincide. On January 4th, 2025, in the sky over Kazakhstan, many noticed a huge luminous cross hanging over the city center. From different points, it would sometimes fold into an X, and sometimes clearly resemble a cross, hence the torrent of interpretations. The simplest explanation is pareidolia. The brain fills in familiar images in the random play of light and clouds. But as often happens, heavenly symbols launch endless debates. Some saw in it a sign of the times. Tiny, but if there are many of them, the picture is apocalyptic. Tyler Leo films a giant swarm at the gas station by the Weissmart Marina in Cedar Bluff, Alabama. He wanted to fill the tank, and retreated. The insects covered everything around. These mayflies hatch en masse near Weiss Lake. They do not bite and live only 2 days, but in that time, the swarm can fly up to 80 miles. Impressive and frightening at the same time.
During a severe thunderstorm in China, a cameraman filming weather phenomena noticed the silhouette of a giant dragon. Lightning revealed its contours in the billowing clouds. It looked as though the creature was either hovering or hanging motionless in midair. Ancient Chinese legends describe dragons as guardians of the heavens, and after seeing such footage, one might be inclined to believe there is some truth to those myths. On the shore of a quiet bay, people noticed an enormous figure in the water with 3 supports extending deep into the sea. The structure stood upright and emitted a strange, eerie sound before disappearing. Some thought it was an extraterrestrial device. Others guessed it was a sea monster unknown to science. To this day, there is no single agreed-upon explanation. In the sky over Belarus, a few people saw something resembling a giant glowing jellyfish with a translucent body and long tentacles that swayed gently in the wind. Is it a product of imagination or a genuine airborne life form? It looks like the plot of a nightmare film about alien invasions, yet the video seems quite convincing. One night over southwestern Australia, an incredibly bright meteor streaked across the sky at an astonishing speed of about 20 kilometers per second. Scientists at a university began searching for possible fragments, hoping to learn more about the history of the formation of the solar system. Such natural fireworks remind us how dynamic and full of surprises space can be. In the Mexican state of Tlaxcala, people saw a 7-pointed star peacefully hovering in the sky. It seemed stationary, but upon closer observation, a large triangular shadow appeared nearby. Whether it was a manifestation of a natural anomaly or a trace of some advanced technology, we may never know. In a photo taken by an eyewitness, strange vertical pillars are shown rising above the clouds, apparently glowing from within. Internet users immediately speculated that it might be a transparent platform belonging to extraterrestrials, which accidentally became visible due to a malfunction in their cloaking systems. Admittedly, that theory is fantastical, but the image does look striking. In Scotland, in the year 2019, a witness recorded on a mountainside a figure that people called the Rainbow Angel. It looked as though the interplay of light and shadow created the silhouette of a winged being right before one's eyes. Many were reminded of biblical associations, since there are legends that saints or angelic beings can appear in such rays. But is it a supernatural sign, or just a rare natural effect? In Florida, late at night, a bright streak suddenly appeared, racing through the sky like a comet. However, it did not vanish the way meteors normally do, and it traveled much more steadily. People offered theories. Could it be yet another rocket test or a satellite's trail? But no official information followed, leaving room for fantastical guesses. On a clear day, a figure appeared in the sky, wrapped in something like a cloak, with an unusual halo shining around it. None of the onlookers could properly tell if it was a human or a being from another world. Some said things like this appear at points of energy anomalies, while others insisted it was just a trick of the eyes. An Australian driver traveling along a highway saw how, through the gray clouds, a bright beam suddenly broke through, quickly changing shape and increasingly resembling the silhouette of an enormous winged creature. It shifted each moment as if alive, and people nearby did not immediately comprehend what they were seeing. Someone said, maybe it is a sign or a deity, but the mystery remained unsolved. Against the backdrop of a storm cloud, a person noticed something resembling a winged being. But the strangest part was that it looked as though it had only one wing, and in the figure's hand, one could discern something resembling a sword. In a matter of seconds, the cloud shifted, and everything vanished. The witness recounted that he had never seen anything like it before, and was left shaken by the experience. In Turkey, from the roof of a tall building, someone filmed an amazing flying being whose wings glowed with a soft radiance. No body could be made out, but the wingspan was astounding. Was it a bird? Or truly, an angel? The footage was too mysterious to give a definite answer. Many leaned toward believing it was something supernatural. On an otherwise calm night, there was suddenly a brilliant flash that cut through the clouds like a laser beam. It vanished in a fraction of a second, leaving behind a brief, blinding trail. Skeptics thought it was a meteor, while believers in extraterrestrial explanations were sure that our guests simply displayed their technological might. In one small village, people were shocked to see, between the telephone wires in the sky, some kind of strange, living figure. It floated there, without moving its wings. The dark silhouette seemed to defy earthly gravity. It looked as though this being was not from our world, and some concluded it had come from another dimension. To this day, no one has provided a coherent explanation of this phenomenon. A passenger flying over the Atlantic Ocean filmed something strange outside the window. At first, it seemed to be another airplane, but it suddenly began making sharp maneuvers. It would stop in midair, then fly off at staggering speed, come back again, and nearly line up with the passenger plane. Then it zoomed off into the distance. No one could understand which type of craft could perform such stunts. A man was enjoying the view from his balcony when he noticed a long, silent shape in the sky, slowly moving from the northwest to the southwest. He recorded it on his phone, trying to zoom in, but never managed to get a clear idea of what it was. Some are sure it was an unidentified flying object, while others think it was a drone or a military test vehicle. While flying over Japan, airplane passengers noticed a gigantic vertical object hovering among the clouds. By its shape, it looked like a giant tower or a pyramid suspended in the air. Some speculated that it was volcanic ash, but there had been no registered eruptions. Thus, the source of the mysterious skyscraper remains undisclosed. A photographer from Guilford County, North Carolina, intended to capture beautiful landscapes, but in the frame appeared a strange, elongated object, shaped like a capsule, which at times flickered or glimmered with a metallic sheen. It was at an altitude comparable to commercial airliners. In slow-motion footage, it is clear that the ends of the object shimmer, while the central part reflects the sun's rays. In the Hampton Roads region, people noticed a perfectly shaped black ring in the sky. It simply hung over the city, neither drifting nor breaking apart. At first, witnesses thought it must be smoke or some other atmospheric phenomenon, but no suitable explanation was found. The ring vanished as silently as it had appeared. The night sky over Chicago was lit up by a bright meteor, leaving a fiery tail behind it. Scientists explain that such celestial guests consist of metallic and rocky fragments that have traveled from the distant reaches of space. Sometimes they burn up completely in the atmosphere, but there are cases in which pieces reach the ground, opening up new opportunities for research. Early one morning in Norway, people saw a small blue glow that, a few moments later, expanded into a huge spiral and then seemed to be pulled into a dark funnel at its center. This phenomenon stirred the entire country, especially when the military confirmed that it happened near their base. It turned out that it was caused by an unsuccessful rocket launch, which left behind such mesmerizing patterns. Even so, the sight brought to mind wild fantasies about parallel realities. In the year 2019, in the state of Kentucky, a man filmed a mysterious sphere in the bright blue sky. At first, he thought it was the moon, but the object looked more like a metallic ball reflecting the sun's rays. Also captured were smoky trails in the sky, and now people argue about whether this sphere was linked to the formation of those trails, or whether it could have been a simple weather balloon. On one of the December days in the year 2009, before sunrise, a magnificent glowing vortex appeared in the sky over Norway. People rushed outside, trying to understand what was happening. Some thought about weapons experiments. Others suspected otherworldly involvement. The phenomenon became one of the most memorable and sparked a wave of rumors and legends. And though an official explanation about a rocket launch later emerged, many still do not believe that such a perfect spiral could form by mere chance. At the beginning of April in the year 2023, a pulsing circular flash was recorded in the sky above China. It felt as though a portal had opened, trembling and changing shape. No one actually saw any craft emerge from it, but observers unanimously stated that the experience was extremely mystical. Some explained it as rare weather conditions, while others sincerely believed in alien technologies. A man relaxing alone in his yard noticed high above him a source of bright, iridescent light patches. The object glided smoothly, creating incredible patterns of light. The recordings turned out quite detailed, but even upon zooming in, it was not clear whether this was an advanced drone or something extraterrestrial. The sight was both mesmerizing and slightly eerie at the same time. On a home camera in Palm Coast, two bright spheres can be clearly seen, moving swiftly across the night sky. They moved in sync, as though following a single plan. Both disappeared as abruptly as they had appeared. The owner of the footage was left completely perplexed, trying to figure out what his camera had captured. A group of passers-by witnessed the appearance of several bright orange orbs. At first, people saw only a couple of objects, but then more appeared, and they even formed a triangle. Someone heard a barely audible noise. Some decided they might be sky lanterns, but the shape and speed of movement raised many questions. In the northern regions of Canada, drivers traveling peacefully along a deserted highway suddenly witnessed a blue spiral appearing right in the night sky. It sparkled and swirled as if it were a portal from science fiction. At first, everyone thought of an unidentified flying object, but experts explained that the cause might have been a fuel dump by the SpaceX rocket, which created spirals of icy crystals in the atmosphere. Either way, it is a truly rare sight that very few people get to see with their own eyes. Something absolutely unexplainable happened over Manchester. A dim but extremely fast orb appeared in the sky, seemingly eluding military fighter jets with ease. No matter how fast they attempted to pursue it, the object always slipped away, changing trajectory with incomprehensible agility. After a while, both the orb and the planes vanished in the distance, leaving the city's residents utterly perplexed. During a regular match on an open field, everyone's attention shifted from the game to the sky. There, a massive dark silhouette suddenly emerged. It seemed to swallow a portion of the sky, even though no engines could be heard. Some believed it was a triangular shape with lights around its edges, while others claimed it was more like a gigantic flying saucer. As soon as people grasped the scale of what they were seeing, the object shot away at lightning speed. During twilight above one of the Spanish provinces, eyewitnesses filmed a flying disc with bright green lights around its perimeter. It moved silently and smoothly, more like gliding than flying. Only a moment later, the object soared upward at tremendous speed and vanished into the darkness. No explanation was ever found. A strange dark mass appeared over Sydney, unlike any familiar clouds. It seemed to shimmer with a metallic hue hanging low over the water. People speculated that it was an unidentified flying object or some kind of pollution. Later, experts reported that it was a so-called scud cloud, a rare meteorological formation. But that did not make it look any less mysterious. In the remote forests of Brazil, witnesses saw something resembling a glowing portal between the trees. At first, it merely flickered quietly, but then an object with a metallic sheen reminiscent of an aircraft emerged noiselessly from it. Some are convinced that this was not just any craft, but something interdimensional, entering from a parallel reality. At dawn in Belgium, a woman noticed 3 enormous glowing orbs moving in a straight line across the sky. Each orb was so large and bright that it lit up the surroundings like a spotlight. The sight was so unreal that it lingered in the memory of those who saw it for a long time. Over Cape Town, a colossal cloud-like figure hovered motionless in the clear sky. Its size left no doubt. This was not just an unusual cloud. No sounds could be heard, and the object seemed not to intend moving at all. Some decided it was a rare weather anomaly, while others believed it was something extraterrestrial. One evening in Canada, people stepped outside and saw a radiant circle in the sky that resembled a portal from a science fiction movie. It glowed with a bright blue light, like a lantern against the night's darkness. But the most shocking part was that soon a second, much larger circle appeared nearby. From the smaller portal to the larger one shot the same blue beam, as if some kind of energy transfer were happening. All of this lasted only briefly. Both fiery circles disappeared as suddenly as they had appeared, leaving the witnesses to wonder what they had just seen. On a sunny day in Costa Rica, passers-by tilted their heads back and froze. High among the clouds, a circle began to pulse, seeming alive as it shimmered with an unearthly glow. The edges of this portal shone so brightly that it felt as though the sky itself was about to open up. People watched with a mix of awe and wonder, asking themselves whether what was happening might be a sign of something far greater than we can imagine. On one particular evening in Toronto, 2 huge glowing circles appeared, hovering side by side. They were so bright that they seemed almost unreal. Small rays of light along their edges slid smoothly, as if displaying some kind of hypnotic illumination. For some, this sparked excitement. For others, it provoked fear. What if this was not just an optical illusion, but, for instance, an entrance to another dimension? Residents of Taiwan witnessed how, in a cloudless sky, a gigantic shining circle suddenly appeared. It was as though the vault of heaven had opened, allowing streams of light to pass through. Some are convinced that the phenomenon had extraterrestrial origins, while others consider it an interdimensional portal leading to parallel worlds. The debate continues even now. Is it mysticism or a rare natural occurrence? In the darkness of the night sky, a spiral appeared, like a rotating vortex. As people gazed more closely, it became evident that in the center there seemed to be a tiny opening from which a blinding white energy began to pour. Many speculated that this was a portal to distant corners of space or perhaps a passageway for alien visitors, but what it actually was remains a mystery. A highly debated video has circulated online, allegedly filmed in rural Canada in the year 2021. It shows something round and fiery, somewhat reminiscent of our sun, but it looks as though flames are dancing around it. Suddenly, this object explodes, leaving behind a dazzling flash. Some say it is all a clever fake, while others are certain that the camera accidentally captured something taking place in another galaxy.
Many people agree that one of the strangest recordings is the so-called flying squid, an elongated object with long tentacles drifting through the sky. Some proposed it might be a gigantic balloon of an unusual shape, while others argue that humanity could not create such a thing. The craft genuinely looks alien, and even its flight path does not resemble normal drifting in air currents. In the night sky over New York City, passers-by noticed the silhouette of something extraordinarily large and unidentifiable. Bright lights shone through the clouds, attesting that whatever was up there was not an ordinary flying machine. However, on the streets, barely anyone seemed to pay attention to the hovering lights. Once the footage spread online, viewers concluded that perhaps these alien visitors chose the world's noisiest city for their landing. What do you think? Rumors about a secret blue beam project are fueled by stories like these. Supposedly in the ocean depths lies some base where they develop enormous holograms and other astonishing technology. Sometimes images are projected above the surface, whether it be a sphinx or other symbolic forms, leading the public to believe in extraterrestrial ships. Perhaps it is all a conspiracy theory, but some insist that hidden underwater research has long been underway. Even more mysterious is the enormous rounded cloud formation in the sky, hovering like an alien ship under camouflage. Someone managed to record how this saucer moved slowly, yet held almost a perfect shape. Some viewers are convinced it is merely an unusual cap of cloud, while others believe it is indeed a flying saucer carefully concealed by space travelers from other worlds. Not too long ago, residents of Honolulu and tourists were left bewildered, seeing several bluish glowing discs in the sky, as though emerging from the sea. They moved smoothly and in sync, as if performing a hidden task. Many hurried to call them mere drones, but some suspected the notorious Blue Beam, a secret project to create colossal holograms. Some call it a mothership straight out of science fiction. In the footage you can see something enormous appearing too close to the ocean surface. It might really have been rising from the water and hovering above it. What is surprising is people's reactions, as they do not seem too alarmed. Either they did not notice anything or they have grown accustomed to such occurrences. Somewhere in the middle of the sea, a bright green stripe was spotted, stretching into the distance like a guideline. No ships could be seen, and such a large-scale chemical discharge would have drawn environmental attention. It seems that this mysterious path could be related to scientific experiments or to something else that escapes our understanding. Either way, the footage is mind-boggling. Ancient beliefs speak of mighty dragons whose era has, according to conventional wisdom, long since passed. However, in one mysterious video, a massive form reminiscent of the classic winged reptile is clearly visible gliding above the clouds. If we imagine that dragons once hid away in remote heights, such an encounter would overturn our notions of mythology. Fortunately or not, the creature did not descend to Earth and disappeared somewhere in the distance. The incident in Roswell, in the state of New Mexico, has been cloaked in legend for decades. They say that in the middle of the previous century, an unidentified craft crashed there, and the military at first confirmed that they had found a flying saucer, then retracted everything. However, the story is supplemented by a video where the mysterious object is allegedly transferred into the water to help it hide. Some are convinced there was a conspiracy with aliens, others say it was all faked. Where the truth lies, we may never know as long as the government remains silent. In Houston, Texas, a motorist suddenly noticed something in the skies, resembling a radiant blue window. Upon closer examination, he decided it was a portal through which alien ships travel. When he zoomed in on the image, some shapes became clearly visible inside the halo, resembling a funnel. Although many doubt that it is a real door to another dimension, scientists do not have a definitive explanation. In another video, there is a bright figure that seems to emit powerful bursts, igniting trees in its path. It appears as a bright red body, apparently able to act with frightening destructiveness. Some think it is a supernatural being, while others imagine it to be an extremely dangerous military technology. But if it was something official, information about it likely would have leaked to the media already. Thus, this too remains in the shadows. In Germany, eyewitnesses once filmed something bright green, hovering in the air and shining a narrow beam down onto the ground. Internet users speculated about extraterrestrial scanning of our territories, while skeptics claimed it was just someone's powerful ground-based laser. But the most curious thing is that around the same time in another place, people saw similar lights, also featuring a vertical beam. Could this indicate some unified plan? Sometimes people look up at the sky and see a peculiar gray streak seemingly hanging in space without moving. Such a comma in the sky prompts some to think that our reality is a computer simulation that has glitched. How else can we explain its presence if the clouds drift swiftly, yet this mark remains completely still? As is often the case, there is no answer. In a small French village, residents once observed a strange light in the sky that moved in a way unlike any airplane or satellite. The video caused a sensation, but to this day, no one has reached a firm conclusion about what it was. As a result, some decided that it was most likely an unidentified object that left not the slightest trace. Perhaps extraterrestrial guests have long been living among us, skillfully hiding themselves. In one video, viewers noticed revolting pouches hanging in clusters, right out of a scene from an alien movie. Some associate it with hatching creatures from another planet. Others think of sea organisms that belong in water, not in midair. Possibly these are colonies of common marine life washed ashore and stuck to structures on land. But the sight is unbelievably disturbing. A group of friends decided to go on a sea cruise and unexpectedly witnessed an incredible scene. A colossal orange disk, very much like the sun, hanging on one part of the horizon, while the actual sun was in the opposite direction at that moment. At first, onlookers could not believe their eyes. Some suggested it was an artificial sun that scientists are rumored to be working on. But how realistic is that? You decide. In India, a local resident spotted a strange ring of clouds in the gloomy sky, and near it, a small black speck. Moreover, flashes of lightning sparkled inside this cloud vortex. The posted video immediately sparked theories about a newly formed interdimensional opening and some flying craft traveling into another reality, but people had no proof besides the footage itself. The evening sky seemed untroubled until it was lit up by an extremely bright beam swiftly descending from somewhere above and illuminating the entire area, then vanishing without a trace. People online wondered what it could have been: an alien invasion, a failed military experiment, or a power grid malfunction. Local authorities never explained anything, leaving citizens to puzzle over the nature of the phenomenon. The light appeared suddenly and disappeared just as suddenly. In Mexico, an enthusiastic researcher suddenly felt that someone was watching him, even though no one else was around. He then set up an infrared camera, which caught the outline of an unknown flying vessel, invisible to the naked eye. Of course, it might have been a secret military aircraft evading radar, but if so, why did no one mention any drills or tests? The famous story about the man with a jetpack near Los Angeles International Airport remains unresolved. Pilots of several airplanes claim they saw a humanoid figure at an altitude of several thousand feet. The Federal Bureau of Investigation opened an investigation, but the conclusions were too vague. Supposedly, it could have been nothing more than a large balloon or something along those lines. True answers remain elusive, while numerous witnesses continue to insist they saw a real person in the sky. An astronomy enthusiast was once watching a live feed from the cameras of the International Space Station and was amazed. A massive object with wings protruding from the sides slid by Earth. Was it something created by human hands or a completely alien design? It is impossible to say. Nevertheless, the fact of this anomaly's appearance made many doubt that no other intelligent beings are flying around near Earth. Among the clouds, a gigantic hand suddenly appeared with distinct fingers and strange circles at the tips. Online debates flared up. Some swore it was a divine sign, others believed it to be an extraterrestrial message. Skeptics insisted it was a rare natural phenomenon in cloud formation, but the outline was too neatly shaped, like a hand, so everything looked suspicious. Is it a miracle or just a prank played by the weather? Each person decides for themselves. In open waters, a fishing camera captured a curious scene. On the horizon stood another vessel, from which a bright light shot upward. Just above it, in midair, a colossal flying craft was visible, looking nothing like human inventions. It seemed as though aliens had made contact with the people on the ship. For what reason and with what goal remained speculation. Yet considering how isolated the place was, one gets the feeling that something extremely secret might have been happening there. Some people wake up in the morning and see outside the window a huge billowing cloud of red-orange color, as though an apocalypse is coming, dense and caustic. It is clearly not safe, and it turns out it truly was the source of toxic fumes. It is unclear whether it resulted from an industrial accident at some facility or something more mysterious, but the locals hurried to get away from the affected area. A traveler on a tour of Washington suddenly noticed a thin figure shifting about on the roof of the White House. It was hard to discern whether it was a person, because the movements were strange and the shapes unrecognizable. Internet users began talking about how the government might be housing visitors from other worlds, and that this was a secret accidentally caught on camera. Who knows if that version is true? When you see a stunning glowing phenomenon cresting the ocean wave, you might imagine it is a magical entity dwelling in the water. In reality, some areas do indeed have bioluminescent algae that glow when they move. So, in this case, the explanation could be simpler than the fantastic stories. Still, it looks like a scene out of unbelievable fantasy. In a Mexican town, workers stepped out of a shop and were stunned. Hovering right overhead was a star object with unusual sharp protrusions. It did not move and seemed absolutely foreign. Of course, some said it was a stray balloon of an unusual shape, but others suggested that the star was some living presence that had arrived to observe. Essentially, we have no confirmation of either view. Somewhere over the Australian coast, a whimsical blue flash arose in the sky, as though someone had briefly opened the shutter of an invisible window. Naturally, people immediately talked about an otherworldly ship hidden behind the clouds, or about global computer simulation of our reality. Whichever way you look at it, no one fully understands what it might have been. Perhaps one day, around 6 hours, 13 minutes, the situation will become clear. But for now, everyone who witnessed this wonder remains baffled. Imagine noticing a crimson object in the sky, and from it emanates a beam resembling an energy stream. It is unsettling, especially if it is obvious that no one officially acknowledges its origin. In one district of Austin, Texas, that is precisely what happened. People link it either to secret government experiments or to the idea that the object might even influence the weather. What can you say? This is a chilling thought. A couple of weeks ago, several residents of Miami in the United States of America witnessed a strange kind of squadron. Objects in the air were obviously not arranged in the classical formation of airplanes. People tried to remain calm and tell themselves it might be something terrestrial, but the sight was distinctly troubling. It resembled a combat formation of extraterrestrial ships that do not hesitate to appear in broad daylight. Naturally, the matter of safety became very pressing. Sometimes it only takes being in the right place at the right time for the entire course of events to change drastically, especially if in that moment a camera is rolling. That is exactly what happened with a man who, while in his apartment, captured a colossal beam of light suddenly piercing the earth. Looking out the window, he saw a blinding streak striking somewhere below. Nearby residents were in panic and confusion as nobody understood what it could mean. Some speculated that beings from outer space had arrived with hostile intentions, while others believed it was merely a botched thunderstorm and lightning strike. But lightning rarely strikes so precisely, correct? What truly happened remains a mystery. A man on his way home noticed a strange circular shape in the dark sky, hovering right above the rooftops. The ring glowed and did not move, as though waiting for something. Internet users quickly dubbed it an interdimensional portal, but the main question remains: who could use it, and for what purposes? It seems that the mystery has remained unsolved. Witnesses say that encountering some living object in the sky left them with the impression that it was changing shape before their eyes. The figure seemed to be trying to assume a stable form, but could not manage. One theory is that this is a special extraterrestrial biology accidentally carried into our atmosphere, or perhaps an experimental device. Not one possibility can be ruled out with 100% certainty. In an Argentinian town, residents were startled by mysterious sounds coming from outside the window. A man went outside and saw an unknown object hovering in the air, flooding everything around with a bright beam. Meanwhile, nearby streetlights flickered nervously, and deep, resonant sounds emanated from the object. Some decided that it was a craft from another world that had suffered a malfunction, while skeptics suggested it was an ill-fated prank by someone. But, as often happens, no explanation was ever provided. In the Turkish city of Bursa, people once gazed at a gigantic red cloud shaped like a flying saucer. Residents were frightened, thinking it was a cover for an extraterrestrial ship. But when the video spread across the internet, it turned out to be just a massive lens-shaped cloud with a bright red tint. However, the sight truly was impressive, making one ponder how bizarre and unpredictable the weather can be. A video from the capital of Pakistan shows an almost endless pale cloth floating in the air from side to side. Initially, viewers decided it was a living creature or a giant piece of fabric from another dimension. Later, it was discovered that there had been an accident at a textile factory, which caused enormous bundles of thread to be blown outside, breaking them into endless webs. Still, this silk storm looks both frightening and mesmerizing. A farmer went to inspect his lands when suddenly a yellow flash flickered in the sky, like a spotlight descending from above. On the ground, there remained a tiny puff of smoke, and then the light dissolved. Some commentators decided that this was an attempt by aliens to create a crop circle. Supposedly, their device was caught off guard, and they disappeared immediately, leaving nothing but vague traces. However, no one has ever proven that guests from other worlds were involved. On a deserted beach, a vacationer noticed a bright sphere in the distance. It seemed to hover slowly right above the ocean's surface. At first, one might have thought it was some kind of vessel, but it was far too round and strange. The theory that it was an inflatable transparent ball also convinced almost no one. It is too dangerous to float that far from shore, and it looks entirely different. So what could it have been? Videos began circulating on the internet showing something resembling an octopus in the sky, slowly swimming while dangling long strands. There are plenty of theories, from a secret probe to another prank with a balloon. But the frightening part is that similar entities appear irregularly, leaving no clear explanations. Is it dangerous, or merely a form of entertainment by skilled tricksters? No one really knows. In another corner of the world, eyewitnesses saw a strange fiery white streak gently descending behind the rooftops of buildings. At first, people took it for a meteor or ball lightning, but if something like that fell so close, it is unlikely everyone would remain so calm. Then the hologram theory arose, but that too does not match the manner in which the object vanished behind the house. Perhaps it was a guest visit from extraterrestrials, but then why did the crowd seem so unexcited? It appears they have seen such things before. Or maybe it was just editing. It seems that another type of sighting in the sky is gaining popularity. Figures resembling humans, gliding somewhere high above the ground. Not long ago, in the mountains of Switzerland, travelers filmed something that looked like a person hanging among the peaks. The entire group was shocked as they could not discern any parachute or other device. Naturally, the internet immediately came up with theories about superpowers and alien beings. Imagine what a military jet chase after an extraterrestrial craft might look like. A video surfaced online showing an airplane clearly following something disc-shaped. It is unclear who filmed this footage and why everyone remained silent, but viewers quickly concluded that the Army received a signal about an unidentified object penetrating the airspace and had to chase these guests. Is that the case or not? It remains contentious as there have been no official statements. A group of travelers was recording their trip somewhere on the Mexican sands. In the background, one can clearly see something rounded, like a large eye, hanging above the dunes. Possibly a drone, but its size seems far too substantial. What is even more interesting is that local authorities did not comment in any way. Either they do not know what it is themselves, or they simply do not wish to speak about it. In the heart of Nevada's arid territories, a tourist accidentally filmed something astonishing, resembling a shining figure. At first glance, one might dismiss it as a common lens flare, but the longer you look, the more clearly you sense that it appears to be a tangible object. Moreover, one can even see a shadow in the sand, as if this entity has its own solid form. Some are convinced it is a celestial messenger. Others call it a miracle with no scientific explanation. There is a hypothesis that underground tunnels sometimes act as gateways to other times or worlds. In the Colombian city of Medellin, someone captured a strange wavy distortion of the air right inside a tunnel, something that did not resemble a simple draft. Many seriously believe that a portal opened there, and someone might even have used this passage without knowing it. But for now, it is just a bold guess. In the sky over Paris, eyewitnesses spotted a strange silhouette. It looked like a rider on a horse, slowly floating through the air. People immediately recalled biblical prophecies mentioning horsemen who bring cataclysms. But since nothing catastrophic happened in the city, some decided it was an illusion or a prank. Nevertheless, many saw it and doubts lingered for quite some time.
You also love to walk through the forest at night, don't you? A couple of friends went for a walk through the night jungle and came across a very strange creature resembling a skinny bald monkey with tangled hair. People approached it and tried to make contact, but the creature began to aggressively attack them. Humanoid or mutant animal? Most likely the creature got scared and tried to defend itself by attacking. It's easy to get bitten. I think these guys are still wondering what they ran into in the forest at that time. This video went viral, and it's really shocking. Just like that, a creepy mutant of unknown origin moves along the road. It's even hard to try to explain what kind of spider-like creatures captured here. No new information about such creatures has been received, so in this case, the absence of news is good news. And here's a monster that came out at night in Costa Rica. Well, of course, you'll say it's a banal prank. But look for yourself. The crawling entity caused outrage in the neighborhood's dogs, animals running away. However, the giant crab-like creature just continued its path, although it left the road. What if someone later met it in their yard? I'm glad it disappeared. That's too scary of a creature. A couple of travelers stopped to rest by the highway and turned off the headlights. Then, they noticed small glowing eyes and heard strange sounds. When they turned on the light, they saw mysterious small creatures. They were hiding behind a piece of wall and quickly disappeared when the light came on. The people tried again, and the vision did not disappear. By their outlines, the figures resembled small human-like statues, but their behavior was not like animals. People tried to lure them again, but eventually stopped the experiment. What if they were tiny Martians? It's worth being scared, even if soldiers recoil in fear. People may be less equipped than dogs, but we also feel something supernatural. It kind of has an unpleasant aura. This is called the instinct of self-preservation, not to approach what scares. A creature resembling a goblin suddenly climbed out of the ditch, so unexpectedly that the soldier couldn't hold back a scream of horror. Let's slow down and see what it was. I think in the place of this guy, we would react even worse. It would be a tough year for everyone if you met this. An alien hangs out on the road. If it was a movie prop, I don't remember any famous films with such participants. It moves somehow too realistically, as if trying to catch its breath with an unfamiliar atmosphere. There are opinions about what this could be, an art installation or something else. But it's up to us to solve this puzzle. To the northwest of Las Vegas, on the southern shore of a dried-up Groom Lake, lies the so-called Area 51, a secret base whose activities are related to testing military equipment and studying everything related to UFOs and aliens. There are many legends and rumors around it. Allegedly, there are laboratories where samples of life from other planets are kept. And if there's a prison, there are escapees. Here's an example, as if alien beings are escaping from there. There are plenty of adventurers around, and one of them captured a strange creature. Even if we assume it's a costume show, the height of the alien reached almost 8 feet, and thin, long arms were difficult to imitate with props. It's no wonder where the bodies of dead aliens come from. They fail to survive on foreign Earth. And in general, think about it. How would you feel if you find yourself alone on a distant planet? Another proof that dog is a man's best friend. A man was walking with his dog when suddenly it started going crazy, growling and howling into the forest. The man went to investigate himself and ended up filming something unclear. Definitely not an animal. Look, it even has 3 horns that are menacingly spread out to the sides. Dogs have a special sense of trouble. Let's hope the episode ended safely. A strange, I would even say terrible creature was caught on video in Cedar Point, Ohio. The person who filmed it claimed to have seen aliens. Judging by its location, the alien could have been an upside-down fish. Maybe we should study the inhabitants of our planet better. A curious YouTuber was exploring tunnels when glowing eyes flashed in his field of vision. This is how animals' eyes usually glow, but the height of the creature hiding around the corner clearly exceeded the size of a cat or a monkey. The eyewitness pointed the camera to the other end of the tunnel and filmed how a creature resembling a crawler cautiously peeks from the side. The guy had sensed enough not to climb into the labyrinth, and most likely, fear had stopped him. Surveillance cameras don't sleep, and when an alien breaks into your garden, they continue to film it. When the homeowners called 911 to ask for help, the call was not taken seriously. Imagine someone calls you in the middle of the night and shouts that a humanoid creature was digging in their yard. Would you go to them? Neither did the dispatcher, who almost hung up. However, there was something to worry about. Now, we see that there was clearly something unfamiliar in the garden to us. It's sad that by the time rescue services arrived, the creature mysteriously disappeared. Two friends went on a night safari in South Africa. Soon their attention was drawn to movement in the fallen trees. They stopped and started filming, when suddenly a strange figure with an elongated head and slit-like eyes appeared before them. It was clearly looking at them from the darkness. The guys were too scared to venture into the thicket after the creature. But as they say, fear has big eyes. The Yeti seems not to exist, otherwise we would have evidence like this video. An unknown creature was spotted in the forest of Tennessee. The dark silhouette is not seen clearly. Initially, it looks like a gorilla until we realize that the huge creature is moving on 2 legs. Its gait is quite light. The eyewitnesses were scared, but the black shadow sensed someone's presence and hurried away to hide in the thicket. Now think, is it a forest creature or an alien? Another dark figure in the forest. The video was filmed by a traveler exploring the forests in Nepal. Didn't he expect frightening encounters with wild animals or something similar when wandering through the thicket alone? A monstrously large black creature was moving in front of him. It probably felt at home here and retreated at the appearance of a stranger, not out of fear, but out of a desire to not be noticed. Do we still deny the existence of the Yeti? It's more pleasant to believe in angels than ghosts, but what if you're shown a video where they walk across a field? These frames came to us from Brazil. In them, a giant glowing figure travels across the hills. This pillar looks completely surreal, but it resembles a being. Someone tried to write off this phenomenon as a play of light, and although the correct answer lies in the air, our guesses vary. What if a real angel descended to us, or perhaps an alien in a reflective suit? Such an alien is not so much frightening as mesmerizing. This winged creature was captured on camera by a homeowner from Texas. Beautiful sunset clouds make us think positively about this phenomenon. Probably this is how an angel should look, and here it is before us. You would hardly deny that everything points to it. There is some kind of being here, and it disappeared into the clouds from which it came. Such a gelatinous miracle floated in 2022 at night in the Mexican region. And quite low from the ground, a passerby who couldn't sleep noticed it. Of course, you'll say it's fake, but look at how the local dogs react to the creature or object. It's not computer graphics. The dogs sensed something was wrong and tried to chase the UFO. What if it's a living creature? What pleases me about this video is that the dogs indeed are good night watchmen. What worries me to know is what else happens while we sleep. It's not only ships that warn us about the existence of life on other planets. Sometimes remains, presumably of their inhabitants, are found on Earth. How would you feel if you came across a mummy, the corpse of a Martian, or a distant neighbor during gardening? This video was shot by a person who was working in the forest and discovered the body of an alien. Initially, he couldn't believe his eyes, assuming it was a theatrical prop, and even touched its skin with his hand. But apparently, the body was real, and this alien might have been alive just a few hours ago. I remind you, in 2023, the Mexican Congress confirmed the existence of aliens, so we don't ask questions. All we can do now is investigate where and when the next evidence appears. It's sad that this specimen died on Earth, as we don't even know its exact place, as the official sources were not in a hurry to broadcast news of this area. A resident in China was walking his dog in the forest when he noticed a mysterious lifeless creature. It was lying on the ground without movement. Like the previous eyewitness, he thought it was a mannequin, but as he approached, doubts dissipated. Before him was a dead alien, which he even tried to touch with his toe. But the nature of the body's movement convinced the man that it was indeed a body, which had injuries and scars. What would you do in his place? Would you publish the video on the internet, or try to convince authorities that you found the corpse of an alien? The user who uploaded this video claimed it was a real alien captured by the US Army and placed in a secret laboratory. Naturally, it was kept away from the media, but someone managed to sneak onto site. Absurd as it sounds, and not only obtain, but also publish the video. Of course, we can argue, say that it's a clay model, but someone named Jack Sir, a well-known UFO enthusiast and physicist, confirmed that this was a real alien. Allegedly, over the years, several US intelligence agencies managed to capture several specimens. As we know, any secret has a bit of leakage. The mystery of the Nazca Caves in Peru has long occupied researchers. After the scandalous news that alien mummies were found there, many sought to get there and see for themselves. Here's what the authors of this footage managed to capture: a body resembling a human mummy with an elongated skull, disproportionate limbs, and only 3 fingers on the hands and feet. The video looks like a real horror movie because the figure suddenly showed signs of movement. And if the alien was alive, was it just pretending to be dead? The most interesting thing later is that the mummy disappeared from the cave. It was either taken by special services or left on its own. Now, let's turn to entities that are alive, or seem to be. Probably J.K. Rowling didn't invent Dementors. She saw them somewhere first. Otherwise, how could you create something so frightening in your imagination? Here, we see how terrifying figures move through the air. Neither a drone nor a kite seems like a convincing argument here. Then what? Did it escape from another dimension to terrorize us? Do you believe that this is a living creature? After videos with real UFOs, it's somehow embarrassing to believe in ghosts, don't you think? Ghosts are just myth. But try to explain what we're seeing now. This ghostly figure appeared at night and yet got caught on camera. It smoothly descends and then disappears into the shadow of the trees. Again, characters from the Harry Potter movies come to mind. The most popular opinion is that it's a drone with something attached. A ghost from a cemetery sounds old-fashioned, but what if it's a version of an alien spy? Although this video is several decades old, it has not been debunked. The footage was shot in 1997 in Mexico on an amateur video camera. There were no smartphones back then, so the quality of the shooting is blurry. A saucer-shaped object hovers over the city and after a few minutes disappears behind a high-rise. People wondered if the phenomenon was a combination of lighting, clever angles, and whether the saucer was hanging on a string. Unlikely what we see, a flying saucer with aliens over the city. In 2008, an anonymous YouTuber uploaded a video of a real flying saucer. It was gliding past an airplane window. The person claimed to have personally recorded the video during a flight from Rome to Paris, although other sources indicate the footage appeared in the 1990s and was simply re-released. Nevertheless, the fact remains, this object looks like a flying pot lid, and its smooth movement in close proximity to a flying airplane raises many questions. Informants have named the UFO a specialized reconnaissance aircraft in the US Air Force, and supposedly it accidentally got caught on camera. Whether we speculate that digital graphics were used, here is another shocking episode from another plane window. Perhaps Earth had already learned to make flying saucers. We just don't know anything yet. During a cruise over the San Bernardino area in California in a helicopter, a passenger noticed something resembling a spear. It was moving quite quickly. You might mistake it for a light reflection or a drone. I'll guide you. Its speed surpassed the helicopter's movement, and there were no drones at the time that the footage was taken. What do you say now? Something like alien spaceship? You probably wouldn't be wrong. A surveillance camera in New Hamburg, New York caught something strange. An object, or possibly two objects, flashed through the night sky at an incredible speed. We wouldn't have been able to see them with the naked eye, but the infrared camera managed to record an intriguing plot for us. What can move at such speeds? The object left a wide, powerful trail and seemed to dissolve in an invisible portal. As far as I can tell, no advanced technology could achieve such speeds. Even comets or meteors don't seem to fit. Perhaps we just witnessed something that has never before been seen. While traveling through California, a group of friends had a stunning encounter with a UFO. In the area city of Santa Clarita, they noticed an object flying towards them in the shape of an irregular saucer. As soon as they realized what was happening, the object disappeared, but a massive motherboard appeared in its place. I think we've never seen more convincing evidence of other civilizations. Just like that, in broad daylight, such ships flying around, and no one comments. At least you comment. We have a special section below for sharing opinions. There is such an expression, unearthly glow. So, an astronomer who somehow captured this phenomenon was observing a certain area through a telescope. And once again, instead of a star he was looking for, he found a shimmering structure resembling angel wings. It seems that it glows on its own, or has some kind of control inside. Nevertheless, the strange glow appeared and disappeared, meaning the phenomenon had some dynamics. We still have no idea how many mysteries are in the dark sky above. Residents in a place called Charlotte North in the state of California noticed terrifying lights in the night darkness. They resembled a circular garland and rotated, emitting a bright light. Naturally, they were scared when they saw the lights approaching and tried to guess that it was a drone. However, to examine it later, they decided to record a video. I wouldn't wait for the object to get closer, as it's clear that if it's hanging in the air, it's a high-tech device and not of the earthly type. This apocalyptic scene is quite fresh. It played out in the sky over China. Residents noticed how a glowing white particle was attracted to a red spot. They seemed to be magnetized to the center. People tried to explain the phenomenon logically. Maybe it was just a reflection on the glass from a lamp in the operating room. However, the event developed. All these white lights disappeared in the center, and the spot acquired a crimson hue. Was it an army of space drones returning to Mom, or some computer graphics? Or maybe we're seeing evidence of the supernatural, life from other galaxies. In 2017, a YouTuber uploaded a video to record himself. In it, we see a mysterious gleam of light hovering over the city. The lights move in a straight line like a satellite, although it's hard to make out the details. Now, let's look at it at an enlarged scale. It looks like some kind of device. It appears several more times before melting into the clouds. I have a feeling it's some kind of scout. What about you? In February 2024, a flying saucer flew over Sweden. It was so clear and evident that there were doubts of one kind. The public argued whether it was a new development for the Swedish army or an invasion from other planets. Thus, both were confirmed. On Earth, they do not sit idle and try to build something similar to fantastic ships, a kind of multi-helicopter resembling an egg cooker. But we no longer deny the existence of aliens so confidently, right? Our experts could not give a definitive identification of the design, but there is one detail that says more. The flying object did not show up on any radar. A homeowner in Arkansas noticed an orange glow in the sky and, like most people, assumed it was an airplane. But usually, we see two lights on the wings of the plane during takeoff and landing, green and red. But here, the composition consisted of 3 glowing balls. The longer the observation continued, the stranger the object looked. It changed its location as if teleporting from one cloud to another, and then it disappeared into the dark sky. Any guesses? In October 2009, a mysterious glowing orb crossed the border of Peru and was seen hovering over several cities. The most interesting part is that it did not strive to remain incognito. Moreover, spotted by numerous eyewitnesses from the ground and air patrol, this flying object also released something to the Earth's surface, as if planting some kind of cosmic seed in search of a suitable environment. Let's just hope in a couple of months it doesn't sprout into something big. Tell me, who in Las Vegas would be surprised by lights? However, that night, this was its own game in the sky above the city. A bright orange glowing circle initially looked like an airplane, but when it hovered in the air, questions arose along what it was. The constellation of mysterious lights was not displayed on radars, meaning they were not an aircraft from Earth. What do you think? Is it a flying ship? A story from Argentina is definitely first-hand. It was filmed by tourists in 2023. A bright flash suddenly appeared in the sky and slowly moved downward. The glowing disc flew at an angle as if scanning the area. Initially, some advanced viewers suggested it could be a paraglider with a flash, but admitted that the descent of the object was too smooth and slow. And yes, it emitted some kind of glow, as if a gas burner was hovering in the air. But the object mysteriously disappeared, and questions remained.
Well, friends, with this, our long episode is coming to an end. If you liked it and you want to watch something else interesting on our channel, then subscribe to the channel and write something nice in the comments to help promote this video. By the way, you can write the keyword rocket in the comments. That way I will know that you watched it all the way to the very end. Many thanks to everyone for watching, and next, watch one of the 2 videos that have appeared on your screen. They are insanely interesting.